Welcome to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zammit. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. And today is a special edition where I will be going to shortly see the Odyssey and give you a view from a Star Wars point of view and my point of view. But before I do so, just to get on with some Star Wars news, I can tell you if you liked The Mandalorian Grogu or sort of like this Mandalorian Grogu and you're a collector of Star Wars of all sorts, like myself, the physical media copy of this, including a steelbook version of that particular movie, will be coming out August 25. That could be America or worldwide, I'm unsure, but August 25 is the release date for that. And just I think a couple days before or a week beforehand, you'll be able to get a digital version of that. But I'm a physical media type person, and I would love to get a copy of that. You know, it was a good movie, not a great movie, but anyway, that is pretty much the Star Wars news now. So let's now head off to go see the Odyssey. I'm going to give you a full review. I'm going to go to a particular cinema that I'm not always at, only because it's a really busy place. Anyway, let's go. Okay, we're almost there. We are in the Chadstone Shopping Centre, Hoyt Cinema. It's quite an elaborate shopping centre here, probably the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere. So let's go and see the Odyssey. Auckland is famous for this particular type of cinema screen, but today is a special one as this film, the Odyssey, is filmed in IMAX. Let's see it in IMAX. So I've just seen the Odyssey. I'm going to get back to the studio and give you that review. Okay, so I'm back. I'm back from seeing the Odyssey. And that was at the Chadstone Shopping Centre. I know it sounds a bit sort of lame being in a shopping centre, but it's actually the biggest shopping centre in the Southern Hemisphere. It is absolutely massive. It's a luxury / commercial, whatever it is. It's just massive. I saw a midnight screening of this film. There was a fair few people in attendance. Much bigger attendance than The Mandalorian and Grogu, because the hype for this film is probably a bit higher. But this was a different cinema. It was an IMAX theatre, so I saw it in a proper IMAX theatre at Chadstone Shopping Centre, and that cinema was just great. But anyway, let's get right into the review of The Odyssey. This film, this movie, straight off the bat, 10 out of 10. It was amazing. Let me give you the best type of review I can. More reaction type reviews is what I do, but let's see what I can do. Look, every main star in this film, like from Anne Hathaway to Matt Damon to Tom Holland to Robert Pattinson, Nwinja Lupido, which I'm butchering that name, but I just don't know how to pronounce that correctly. But anyway, all of them really worked together, coming on the one screen. It was such a great ensemble, A class, actors. They were just absolutely great. Like, they really worked individually great and together great when they were in scenes together. I thought Tom Holland was a standout, only because, he's got the big Spider-Man film coming up shortly, and you would have thought that would have been a bit jarring. You sort of think about it, but he really stepped into his element and really pulled it off. Like, I'm looking at him in this film going, you know what, he could almost pull off James Bond. There has been talk about him being James Bond, but I just think he was absolutely great. Matt Damon, an absolute standout. Robert Pattinson, great villain, great villain. Look, to describe this type of film, it's not really it's its own film, but it has, if you're going to sort of describe what is it sort of similar to, it's going to have a sort of a Lord of the Rings sort of feel, but Gladiator feel. Now, when I say Gladiator, that's the film with Russell Crowe way back in, decades ago, not the second part, the first one. It doesn't end in the same way what you would think it would end, like seeing Gladiator. It's such a well-rounded story. It's sort of slow to medium pace type film. It's a long film. I've just come from a midnight screening. It finished at 3 a.m. That's with previews at the start. But you definitely need to see this on IMAX to get the rich beauty of the camera work, especially when they're in the sort of ocean. You sort of feel a part of it. I highly recommend seeing this at a cinema. This is not really something you'd see at on your TV. I mean, you can see it and get it, but the depth of this is definitely worth the cinema. It being a 10 out of 10, it's a rare thing that I give 10 out of 10s. I always get close, but I just was absolutely mesmerised by this film. Like, just from the acting, the cast. Look, there is what people would regard as woke in this film. I am not a person that buys into this whole woke or not woke thing. I think that's ridiculous. But personally, the choice of Helen in the character Helen by, and I won't butcher her name again, Mrs. or Miss Lepido, I think that's she's the black actress. She's been in Star Wars, Force Awakens and stuff like that, just to give you a bit of a Star Wars thing. Her look to her character, it was definitely different, but I think it had artistic integrity from her acting and just her look. Her look. I think it was, I don't think there's any qualms. There will be people out there just, think, historically and politically it's incorrect. But I think it was good. It was just a great inclusion by Christopher Nolan, sort of being really artistic, and her acting and her look and everything like that was just artistic integrity. That's what I'll say. There's some other things that people will consider a little bit, you're serving the audience, certain audiences to bring them in. But this film, with the amount of people at a midnight screening, especially in Melbourne, Australia, which is Chadstone is a part of Melbourne, it's a half an hour outside of Melbourne, there was at least, I think, a couple of hundred people in this cinema. May not sound big compared to an American audience, but it was pretty busy for a midnight screening. And the IMAX theatre was great. The music in this film is very Christopher Nolan. It does have a lot of, if you've seen The Dark Knight and his other films, but especially Dark Knight, it's got similar sort of feels to that. He's got this sort of melodic thing he does where he just likes to sort of have this sound that just keeps rising and rising and rising and rising. It just really, for a long time. I think it works. The music is not a sweeping orchestral soundtrack. It's just very, very... it just suits the film. It gives it does give it a modern edge, but it does suit it. Like, it doesn't take you out of the film. It just adds to the film. The music, the sound, I would almost call the way he does music is more like sound design. And just, yeah, but if there's any partial fault, some of the words delivered were just a little bit, a little bit sort of uttered or mumbled, and it was a bit unclear at times what people were saying clearly. But, that's sort of simplifying the film just for the sake of having it clear. But I think it still worked the way that they spoke. But I was just left mesmerised by this film. This is an absolute great film. Like, partly, you get to halfway through this film and you just go, could you rewatch this? You would probably rewatch it just for, getting more information about the whole film. But then, the film, it's a journey. It's the best way. Look, you could almost call this film the Odyssey, because there's some really odd things that happen in this story, sort of special effects, if you were to say wise, or that type of thing. And it just, you go, oh man, this is not what you would expect, but it is a bit odd. It's a journey, and that's sort of that Lord of the Rings sort of feel about it. It's a journey, a different type of journey. It's not a journey of a whole lot of people, getting to know like a family sort of thing. It's a different type of journey, but it just takes you from start to finish. Like you are, like I'm pretty tired, and it could be midnight. I worked all day and going to be working tomorrow, and just finding time to see a midnight session. It is the opening session here. I just was absolutely floored. I definitely want to see this one again, on the big screen, IMAX, or even if it's not IMAX, I would want to see it in IMAX. I just thought it was amazing. I don't know what else I can add to this without giving it a spoiler sort of thing. But yeah, that's my review of the Odyssey. Again, 10 out of 10. Amazing. Now, I've also got, I should actually check out in my last particular, so let's go to interviews now. Interviews is my last particular video on the Force Always. Let me try and get this up and going. So I'll just write the, let me get this. So be unprepared for this. YouTube. Then I'll go to, yep. So let's have a look. So the last particular, so we've got some questions. Michael from Werribee South. The ending the ambiguity. Nolan stated he will never officially explain the true meaning of his ending. Do you believe the peaceful resolution and final reconciliation with Penelope was literal, a hallucination of dying sailor's mind, or an intervention by Athena, Zendaya? The inclusion of Zendaya, she was another great standout too. The way it ended with her was it definitely unusual, but it was definitely it suited the film. It just gave that sort of spiritual edge to the film. Best way to answer that question. Next question by Michael from Werribee South. Odysseus, I can't pronounce his name correctly, but hubris. We see Odysseus make fatal mistakes out of sheer ego, like mocking the Cyclops, Polyphemus, my God, it's these intense words, and revealing his real name, which invokes Poseidon's curse. By the end of the film, do you think he actually evolved into a wiser leader, or did he remain fundamentally driven by pride? He was always wise. His character was wise from start to finish in this film. He was truly great, like the character. So I just don't know if there was any. There was sort of ego. You got to have an ego when you're in war and stuff like that. But he was wise. The next question from Michael from Werribee South is the rated R violence. The film received a rated R due to graphic violence, particularly during the systematic execution of the 108 suitors. Was the level of brutality justified to show the grim reality of ancient combat, or did it make Odysseus look like a hero and more like a monster? No, rated R is an American term. Here in Australia, we would probably have it as MA, but in America, it's rated R. It's the same sort of thing, but just different letters. It definitely deserved a rated R to this film. It is pretty brutal on parts, but Odysseus was definitely a hero from start to finish. His journey was the hero's journey, in my opinion. And the final question from Michael from Werribee South is the non-linear structure. Christopher Nolan is famous for manipulating time. How did telling Odysseus' 10-year journey through fractured flashbacks change your empathy for him compared to reading the chronological progression? Did it make his trauma feel more immediate? The actual flashbacks helped in maintaining the story, and it worked. It really worked. That was part of the film that I thought that was really, really good. It how do you understand about the Trojan horse thing, historical things, a reminder type things. But it worked as a film. It gave that poetry to it really well. Anyway, that is the interview section, and that is the show for this time around. This special edition. Subscribe to the channel, The Force Always. I'm here 3 or 4 times a week with the news, the views, the reviews, the interviews. Like and share the video if you like. And until next time, my friends, keep rocking.